Okay, so we have opened this up in Chimera, and the first thing to get used to is how to move your camera around so that you can see the different parts of the protein. So one of the ways, if you just click on it and move it right, left, up, and down, you should rotate around the protein. And then it depends on your exact computer. So sometimes for the Macintosh, you hold Shift, and then if you hold Shift, you can translate it up and down, left, right, up and down. And then if you want to zoom in, you use the pinching opposite, and you can either zoom in or zoom out of it. So it's going to take you a little bit of a while to get used to that. So you can now see, we have talked before that there are multiple chains of the glutamate gated chloride channel, multiple chains of the monoclonal heavy chain, and 5 chains of the light chain. And the default is to show each of these in different colors. So you can see all of these have different colors for the chains, and so that helps us distinguish these. But of course you can actually select and change the color of them, and you can also change other features of how you display. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to select the entire protein. So I just went up to select, and then I went to all, and so that selects everything within this PDB file. And I am going to change how it is displayed. So I'm going to hide the atoms. So right now that actually gets rid of all of the atoms, so you can either show or hide. You can also modify how exactly those atoms are displayed, either a stick, sphere, or ball and stick. So the default was sphere, but we're actually going to hide that way to view it. And instead we are going to show the cartoon version of this. So now we can see the cartoon version of the polypeptides, and this is a way to display the secondary structure of the protein. So if you've taken a genetics class, for example, you've covered the fact that proteins have secondary structure, and there's 2 forms of secondary structure. One is an alpha helix, and this alpha helix occurs when hydrogen bonds form between the backbones of the protein, and then the second is a beta sheet. And the beta sheet is a anti-parallel bonding between the backbones that creates kind of a sheet of almost like a paper sheet. So the alpha helix, you can see, are displayed in this cartoon version as these helices, and then the beta sheets are shown with these arrows. And the unstructured part of the protein that doesn't conform to either of those are just shown with these kind of like coils. They don't have this wider width of it. They're just these skinny little string-like parts. So now this is kind of the standard way I like to view how a protein looks like. So we have unfortunately lost all of the ligands, so we can no longer see all the non-standard residues. And so we are going to now go to select residues, and we're going to actually go to structure ligand. And so we're going to bring these back by showing the atoms. And so now we can see these as well. And the second thing that we're actually going to do, and we're going to change this to ball and stick. I actually prefer to view it as ball and stick. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to change the color. So we're going to go to Actions Color, and we will change this to yellow. So now we see all of the different ligands, these like secondary molecules that are also bound to the protein. So just as a reminder, this is the extracellular part of the protein right here, and this, sorry, I'm having trouble rotating it how I want it. So this is the extracellular part, this is where the transmembrane is, and then this is the interior part. So let's look specifically at the ivermectins, and we'll also give those a new color, red. And so now we can see where exactly the ivermectins bind to. And we will also, let's change these to, let's say, lime green. So I'm just going through and selecting some of these other fatty acids and making them all the same color, and this will help me see. All right, so now we can see, so the ivermectins are binding here as part of the channel. These red are all ivermectins. So they have the residue number 403. And then the glutamates are right here, and they have the residue number 401. And if you go down to here, oops, that's not what I wanted. You click on ligand interaction. Sorry, this website is a little bit slow. You can also see the ivermectin, for example, and the number for this one right here is 402. So the ivermectins are either going to be the ligand, sometimes it's hard to get it on there, 402 or 401, 403, depending on the chain it is. And then the glutamate is these yellow ones that are embedded within here. And then finally, if you want to find the chloride, we're going to select that chloride. We're going to show that, and so now you can see that is actually right here. So that chloride actually goes through that channel, and there's currently one bound to it. So we have seen all of, we can see that now pretty nicely. If we want to change the color, we can also, let's say we wanted all of the glutamate chloride channel, we can do select all there, and then we can do color and change that so that they all have the exact same color. So now we can see just the chloride part of it, and we can even hide out these antibodies if we wanted to. You can hide them by just selecting them. So if we go to chains, select all of these, we can just change the color to black if you wanted to, for example, and then that can hide it pretty nicely. So what are some other things that we can do? So if you want to select, so you can either hover over a residue if you want to know what the number is. So this means that it's chain E and it's a phenylalanine. The PHE means phenylalanine, and it's position 328, 327, and then you can go on seeing all of these kind of in order. If you want to select, you can use control, and when you click on it, you'll notice that this tells us which residue we've selected. So we selected E324, and now we can do something like change the color of it. So if we were especially interested in that, we could do that. We can show the atoms for this, and kind of, sometimes it's nice to show those side chain to see what, why would you want to do this. So for example, let's say if you wanted to look at one of these protein residues that interacted with ivermectin, you can do that by just showing the side chain. So the ribbon, what it does is it doesn't show all of the atoms, it just kind of shows this cartoon version, but the residues that are specific to each amino acid can be shown by then going in and changing whether or not you show the atoms or not. So the final thing that I want to go over is you can also do these things at the command line. So if you wanted to select, for example, all of the residues that were valines, you can do that by using the semicolon, and so you'll notice that 5 residues have been selected, and now we can do something like change the color of those to whatever we want. You can also color them using this color command. So we're saying color all of the residues with the number 329. So that colon indicates that we want to select on residues. We can also select, for example, on chains by using the backslash and color. Okay. Yeah, so there we go. So I'll have to modify this lecture file because this is a little bit incorrect on here. Chimera and ChimeraX are a little bit different. Before the way to select chains is different. So I selected A and I turned it green. So this says select at the chain level, and then if I wanted to do something like this, I could also specifically color the residues in chain A from 300 to 310 red. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with these command functions. Display, so it's no longer display. Now it is atoms, perhaps. Display. Oh, sorry. No, it is display. And so if you wanted to specify which side chains that you wanted to show, you can simply use this display command. So if you wanted to know kind of everything, there's a help feature and a user guide. And if you go to this command line interface, there's all sorts of information on the different commands that you can use. So this is just the basics of using Chimera, and so in today's activity we are going to go over this in order to become more comfortable with using ChimeraX in order to look at a given structure.